Uh, no. Okay. Everything's good. Nothing's on fire. We're back again. Playing more Avowed. For a few hours. I wanted to go live a couple hours ago, and I did not successfully do that. That's all there is to that. I will say the important call I had, today that about. I had to leave a message, and they have not called me back, and they probably will not call me back. I will probably end up having to call them again tomorrow. So I'm just gonna not worry about it for now. You know, what else is there to do except to not worry about things that are outside of your control? Is what I try and remind myself, but I, like, 9 times out of 10, fail to actually, not worry about things that are outside of my control. I was doing some voice training right before stream. That's usually what I do, is I do voice training before I start stream, because it gives me a vocal warm-up, and it also provides a way for me to get motivated to do it, because if I try and wait till like after I stream, I usually just don't.
Look at these crops. Look at your city.
What is going on here?
How can you ignore what's right in front of you? The Dream Scourge is here.
This girl can be one of our companions too.
Oh my goodness. Are you a godlike?
Sorry to interrupt. I'm also looking into the Dream Scourge.
In that case, you're right on time.
Maybe you can talk some sense into our governor. Put the fear of the gods in him.
Tempers are high, but I don't see any assassins. Yet.
Excuse me, but unless you have official business, I'll thank you not to involve yourself in our private discussion.
Silence. You'll know when I'm addressing you.
Of course. The Adiran envoy, Ambassador Hilgard, sent a missive telling me to expect you. How delightful. You speak with a measure of authority, but I caution you to remember who's in charge around here.
No, that's
I am. I am the envoy.
As you can see, I was just proving
I'm in charge always.
Governor.
A cart full of spoiled vegetables. You call that a point?
Ha! Emerald Stair used to be a lush garden for miles around, and now I don't even recognize it. First came the invasive species, roots and mycelium growing overnight, as though nature itself had gone mad. The Dream Scourge has twisted our lands, our wildlife, and now, our farms.
The deeper I go into the living lands, the worse this
Indeed.
gets.
We were fighting the Dream Scourge before it even had a name. I believe that we can restore the land, bring back its soul and its sanity, cut off the Dream Scourge at the root. Our governor would rather ignore the problem. He doesn't trust animancy as his father did.
But you do. What would it take for you to fix this?
Before we can deal with the Dream Scourge, we first need to understand it. Unfortunately, new experiments have to go through him.
Once again, bureaucracy stands in the way of getting things done.
I'm just trying to stop Chiata from hurting herself. Animancy is dangerous when you're shooting in the dark.
What's the worst that could happen?
Are you going to tell her about your family's basement? Or should I?
How dare you use that against me?
I know it was an accident, but look what it cost you. We can't let it happen again.
While we argue among ourselves, the Dream Scourge is tearing the living lands apart. Tearing our people apart.
If we worked together, I wouldn't stand between you and your ambitions.
Unexpected from an Adiran. But how could I refuse an offer like that? Well, Governor, looks like I'm taking some time away from my duties. I'll trouble you no more.
Your request is denied, Chiata.
I wasn't asking.
Your responsibilities are to the settlement. Turning away from them sets a precedent that I cannot allow.
Everything I have proposed has been for Fior, and you still refuse to cooperate. Under the circumstances, I don't have much of a choice.
Then neither do I. Chiata Castel, from this day forth, you are banished from Fior Messiverno.
Banished?
What?
Ignacy, we can't lose our brightest animancer in the middle of a crisis.
Your pupil has gone too far, Quilici. Take her and leave. You're still a guest in my town, but to us, Chiata is an outcast.
Let's go.
Governor, this is unacceptable. Your father would have kept this community together at any cost.
Don't bother, old man. He isn't his father. I've done all I can for Fior Messiverno. But you haven't even tried. Now limp back to your giant house like a good dog. We should talk somewhere private. Meet me at my house due west by the workshop.
I'll find us another bedrock.
Good idea, Kai. Anyway, as I was saying, I was doing some voice training before I started stream. And I found out about like one of the things you can do to help strengthen the muscles needed to feminize your voice, and it is this technique called mewing, and it has nothing to do with the sound that cats make, or the Pokemon. It is a technique that was actually, it was originally invented by a orthodontist, a British orthodontist named Jonathan Mew, for the purposes of like being an alternative to orthodontics, and it involves just putting your tongue against the roof of your mouth and then like pressing the tip of your tongue against your front teeth and doing that for as long as you can. And it doesn't do anything as far as like orthodontics go. Like there hasn't been any evidence to show that it actually helps with that. Even though it's still a practice that is sometimes promoted even now, like it's been around since the 70s and it's still promoted even today. But for vocal feminization and strengthening the muscles needed to like lift the larynx and stuff like that, surprisingly effective. Anonymous letter. Governor Vidaro, all this talk of the dream scourge infecting the land has grown too loud to ignore. If it was just Quilici, we could see our way past it. Call him senile and the discussion's over. Yes? But now Giada is speaking for him? And you'd be hard-pressed to find an animancer who doesn't trust Giada Castel. To put it plainly, we demand results of one kind or another. Let the old man do his research or find some way to discredit him. If you're lucky, he'll discredit himself. What are you afraid of, Ignacy? We wonder. Either way, this has to end. It's tearing us apart. Your father would have put a stop to it by now. With patience, your friends in town. You want to explain that? You want to explain that letter that I just found on the floor? Giata's agricultural report. Governor, my research points to one inevitable conclusion. The harvest will fail. Before you ignore me again, read on. Listen, my father spoke of a river of souls flowing through the island. The souls feed our crops and power our machines. We agree on that much. What do you think happens when the river gets polluted? If you don't believe me, look at your own farms. The soil is hollow. It might even have the dream scourge. The time has come to break the bones of the living lands and set them in a more agreeable fashion. It may be Fior Mesiverno's only hope. We should discuss this in person. I'm confident you'll see reason. Best, Giada Castel. Well, he didn't see reason. He banished you. All about the calendar. The Eroican calendar? Named after the inventor who studied the motion of the stars. Erosio's calendar replaced its less practical predecessors in 2680 AI. The Adarian calendar was steeped in traditions of its post-tribal kingdom, and included days of reverence devoted to political stations long since rendered obsolete. According to Erosio's observations, Aora takes 334 days of 27 hours each to orbit the sun. He divided the 16 months of 20 days each equally by their seasons, whether or not it coincided with the Aederan calendar. Farms and smaller communities traditionally reserved 3 days for prayer and preparation between each season. Erosio factored these days into his calendar, as well as those reserved for celebrating the beginning and midpoint of the year. The names of the months and adjacent days of celebration are listed below with the Valian translations. New Year, a day to celebrate the arrival of the new year. Of all the holidays, this one is celebrated by most people around the Living Lands and the Valian Republic. Each New Year is greeted with a fervent zeal to begin things anew and start with a fresh slate. Deep Winter, Fonvierno, Late Winter, Tariverno, Spring Dawn, 3 days, in Prima, used to celebrate the transition of the world, rebirth, and spring. Aothician festivals are especially prevalent at this time, or were prior to the Saints' War. Early spring, Pre-Prima. Mid-spring, Maj Prima. Deep spring, Fon Prima. Late spring, Tar Prima. Summer rising, 3 days, Inestu. A period of transition from birth to growth. Many ceremonies designed to usher children into adulthood take place during summer rising. Early summer, Triestu. Midsummer, Majestu. Mid-year, a day of reflection and introspection. The year is half over. People who made promises on New Year use mid-year to assess their progress and renew their oaths. Deep summer, Fulnestu. Late summer, Tarestu. Autumn falling, 3 days, in autumn. Harvest celebrations happen during autumn falling. If the crops were particularly bountiful, if the harvest was small, supplication is given to the gods asking for a better harvest the following year. Early autumn, pre-autumn, mid-autumn, maj-autumn, deep autumn, fon-autumn, late autumn, tar-autumn. Winter dusk, 3 days. In inverno. Winter dusk is filled with celebrations of life and vigils for the dead. The world is returning to sleep, plants die, and those still alive raise a toast to another year. Early winter, pre-inverno. Midwinter, maj-inverno. Animency in the modern age. Animency is a science both respected and reviled, sometimes by the same person. For all the research done on the topic, we still know so little. Control over life itself? Something animancers have been working toward for hundreds of years. There are no real records of how the practice of animancy was first discovered, but once the spark of knowledge ignited, there was no stopping its inevitable discoveries. In 2260 AI, animancers, as a result of their extensive research, successfully contained and transferred a soul. The subject of the experiment, whose name is unknown, was young, wealthy, but infirm. The idea was to move his soul from the dying body and into that of a recently deceased man who had suffered an accident. The new body, bearing only slight decay, would house the soul, giving the man a much better life. The outcome of this experiment resulted in the condemnation and outlaw of animancy in the Adaran Empire. Again, while we have no true records of what happened, as they were all destroyed after animancy was outlawed, a journal was discovered, a makeshift confession by one of the participants. Excerpts from the journal follow. 2260 AI, Von Prima, 16. It is done. The gods forgive us for our arrogance. I am not sure that what I was expecting, certainly not that, but what did any of us expect? Still, behind the revulsion there is a sense of pride. Something I can't deny. All the research, the studying, everything we worked for. We thought we'd change the world. How's it changed? All was in place. The twisted form lying on the table next to its new vessel. The equipment had been prepared, the tinctures and potions all carefully crafted, every detail painstakingly organized to ensure success. We most assuredly succeeded. The procedure went exactly as it should. The soul, extracted from the old body, held, bound in place to prevent it from moving on. Then, the next step, transfer it to the fresh vessel. It was beautiful and terrifying. I listened as they spoke the words of binding. I watched the soul move, not the soul itself, of course, but the vapor we used to detect it. As it lowered into the vessel, a gentle luminescence covered the body, and then nothing. Silence. Darkness. I held my breath, afraid that even the slightest disturbance would destroy all our hard work. Then motion. Then, dear gods, then blood. How did I survive? I do not know. The vessel rose from the slab, and the room breathed. Every person crowded around the table exhaled. Some cheered. We had made life from death. We had become eternal. The body closed its eyes and tilted its head, looking for all purposes to be listening for something. Or to it. Then its eyes popped open and it moved. Its lips peeled back from its teeth in a horrible expression of fury. It fell on the nearest man, tearing his throat, knocking him to the ground. Then the room erupted into screams, shouts, and a flurry of bodies running, pushing, doing everything in their power to get away from the creature sitting on their colleague. But right before that happened, in the split second before the chaos, when there was nothing in the air but a stunned, terrified silence, I heard it, sitting there on his chest, face at his neck, and it was feasting. Final Journal of Jonas. My son, tomorrow I become the effigy. Tomorrow I become Skane's embodiment on Aora. Tomorrow my master chokes on his own whip. For months we met by secret conclave to plot our landlord's demise, all the while working the fields as if our hearts were connected. Skane teaches us to plot with the mind while keeping one's face impassive, inscrutable. Fair fights are for those with armies. The quiet slave is our whetstone, our focus. In his worship our cause finds focus, clarity, and possibility. Tomorrow my master chokes on his own whip. By the time you read this, I will be dead. I pray Skane does not abandon me for speaking of my plotting, but a son deserves to know how his father died. For I have volunteered to be the effigy. Skane will inhabit my body, using this old farmer's simple flesh as a puppet of godly rage. I have been shaved and anointed. Tomorrow morning I will be your father in name only. As my manhood will be removed, my nose and ears removed, and my useless mortal eyes will be replaced with flint stones through which Skane might see the world. My son, I am sorry for the lies I have told you these past few seasons, but Skane demands secrecy. Even your mother knows nothing of my furtive service to the quiet slave. Curse my name if you must, but never weep for me, for I die for the betterment of our community, to smite our lord's corruption from the face of Aora. Tomorrow my master chokes on his own whip, for tomorrow I become the effigy. Skanite Scripture. Burn. Feel thy hatred twist within thee. Feed thyself on its bile. Sustain thyself in its anger. This hatred, this bile, this anger, these shall be the tools for thy rebellion. Let thine heart seethe. There is no satisfaction in open confrontation. Hide thine hatred. Let it grow that it may fester. Make thy plots in secret. The quiet slave stays in the shadows. His face seeks not the light. In darkness doth he work. In darkness doth he move. Rebel against those that seek to control thee. Rebel against those that seek to remove thee. Estelle's copy of the Midwife's Memoir. The title page is inscribed, "To my beloved Estelle, in celebration of your quickening, I know how our Queen of Birds comforts you. Hylia's wings bear you both on same winds in the months to come. With love, your Maxim." My mother lived every note of life's song. Bringing me into this world was her last verse. For this my father scorned me and abandoned me, and for this very same fact my town's midwife and adherent of Hylia raised me as her own. When I came of age, I learned that Hylia visited us on the screams of women in childbirth. And when a woman dies giving life to a child, her soul is carried away and reborn as an avian attendant of Hylia's court. Through the miracle of the Queen of Birds, my mother has been with me, watching over me my whole life. I wear the fetish charms of the cloud singer, the bird I dreamt my mother became. My feathery trinkets look gaudy and unbecoming, but it is a signal fire to women in need that I am a trained midwife, blessed by Hylia and living every note of life's song. The Queen of Birds wills us to shepherd new life into the world, and not as the other gods so often desire to end it. A follower of Mogren once mocked my faith, saying I worshipped paintbrushes and birds, piddling things beneath the gods. I do not resent the other gods and the brutal necessities that they must oversee, but is not language, love, the arts, and creativity that which separates us from simple beasts? Hylia allows us to rise above our savage, feral selves. I am often amused that upon seeing our holy aviaries, visitors frequently ask, "This is nice, but where is the real temple of Hylia?" Perhaps they think hallowed ground requires oppressive stoneworks and ceilings that hide the sky. They do not realize the Bird Queen stands not on ceremony. She makes herself manifest in the music of birds and in beauty of the ubiquitous open sky. Hylia prefers the worship of two children singing over 1,000 petitioners silently praying for victory. The Sky Mother asks so little of us, and yet so much. We are charged to live every note of life's song. It surprises me how many fail to embrace this divine calling. Interesting.
I'm sorry you had to witness that spectacle. Giata is a spirited animancer, but she can be intolerable at times. Whatever you may think of us, I welcome you to Fiorme Siverno.
You really don't believe this crisis is as bad as it
believe
looks?
the nature of the living lands is unpredictable, and animancy is our best chance at getting it under control. But what Giata wishes to do
Yes,
is more
and
dangerous by
that's what
far than
I
she's trying to
wanted
solve.
by supporting
Giata's
Giata.
panicking over what he can't even prove. If there's a threat to Emerald Stair, it's that old man and his fear-mongering. Don't waste your time on him.
Why are you so
He was
afraid
loyal
of
to my
him?
father, but never to me. And he knows how to rally others to his side.
He reminds me of a lieutenant I served under. Led us into a trap because he wouldn't admit his maps were wrong.
If there's nothing more, I have a city to run.
Farewell for now. I don't trust you as far as I could throw you. And since I'm not able to pick people up in this game, that's not very far. La 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 la. Letter to my son. Ignacy, I write this in a rare moment of clarity. Before he left us, your father was a proud, stubborn, wonderful man. Let me offer you a word of advice on his behalf. Those who rule with power are destined to be overthrown by power. Those who rule with heart are destined to be cherished long after they are gone. I can feel the fog drifting back over my thoughts. Goodbye, Ignacy. Hopefully not for long. Your mother, Estelle, who is a man now. Shimmering wings, gnashing teeth, chew through the dirt. Where are my hands, Ignacy? Where are my hands? My hands, my hands, my hands. Yep. I knew that was a woman all along. Oh.
We weren't supposed to see this.
It's okay. It's okay, guys.
Ignacy. Where is Ignacy?
Well, he keeps you locked up here. And it looks like you have the Dream Scourge. So, there's only one thing I can do. Damn it, she's a ghost. Everyone in this game is a ghost. Maybe I have the Dream Scourge. Okay, let's go see what Giata wants me to see. Journal of Valentio Casanova. Nueva. Among animantic notes and scribbles is a brief excerpt that catches the attention. I have gained much in my latest initiative, and I have enjoyed myself despite my misgivings. Still, soon will come the day that I no longer need court either of them, and I do long to return to my sweet solitude. Until then, however, I must work. While Sinia's work remains inscrutably meticulous, I have liberated the innovations I feel would be most beneficial to my goals. And while I bristle at Isalia's continued frivolity, her insights under the influence of drink have proven that her notes contain value that I could not find elsewhere. It could be said that neither deserve the ill that I am doing to them, but I argue that both will benefit by seeing their work brought to light, even if credit is never received where it is due.
I planned. I'm
Hello,
sorry you had to see
Giata.
that. What an asshole.
Giata, some manners, if you please.
Why start now?
We're on the verge of extinction, but our governor is too busy protecting his fragile ego.
He's focusing on the wrong problems, that's for
What does he
certain.
know? He isn't even an animancer.
I know, right?
His authority.
I know, but... curses. Without Fior Misiverno, I'm hardly even an animancer. My
How dare
tools,
he
the
talk
workshop-
about soul magic when he
Oh.
doesn't even know about soul magic? You stuck to your principles.
Wish
That's
I could
what
take credit
matters.
for Giata's stubbornness, but she learned that on her own.
Thanks, old man. At least now I'm free to study whatever I want. On my terms. The Dream Scourge has been a thorn in my side for too long.
You talk like you have a
Anyway, I
vendetta
do.
against it.
I have plans for this island, and they don't involve the Dream Scourge. But that's a story for another day.
Your parents would be proud to see such tenacity.
Anyway, listen to us babble. Let's talk about you. I never expected to see an Nadiran envoy here. You've got a lot of guts showing your face in a town full of animancers.
It wouldn't be the first time I sacrificed my ethics in exchange for an ally.
We haven't even gotten started and we're already talking about ethics. I can tell I'm going to like you. Our first order of business is the Dream Scourge, but I'm also curious about you. There aren't many godlike left these days.
Yeah, what's up with that? You think there might be a connection?
Wouldn't that be a coincidence? I only bring it up because Anamancy might offer us some insight into your nature. Keep an open mind. While I pack up my belongings, you can help me by... I don't even know. I just realized this is the end. I have to leave Fior Misiverno. Forever.
Nothing ends. Think of it as a new beginning with new friends.
Some people don't find out who they really are until they leave home.
You'll be all right. My advice, find a good tavern, and learn how to prepare squirrel over an open flame.
Maybe if I focus on what I have gained, I can learn to accept everything I've lost. When it comes to the Dream Scourge, we haven't been allowed to acknowledge the problem, much less act on a solution. Today, that changes. I need help from the animancers around town, but as you can see, I'm an outcast.
Maybe I'll have better luck.
I hope so, because we're running out of options. Manto Pastor is in the workshop due west. He's got an invention that can help us. Elia Rossell is an authority on the undead. Her methods are controversial, but useful. She lives in a cottage southeast of town. And then there's Yvette and Remy, our philosophers. You'll find them at the docks, southeast of Fjord. Each of them owes me a favor. Drop my name
I
and they'll tell you what they
met
know about the Dream
Elia.
Scourge.
Sounds like I have my work cut out for
We're
me.
about to make history. But first, research.
Ah, yes.
She's not much of a hunter.
Hey,
Might want to get
Luigi.
extra rations next time we go shopping.
fine.
Like an
I don't want to
Emerald
talk to you.
Boy research assistant. Who knew?
Now, Ecology of the Living Lands by Arthur Castel. No one can explain why the living lands naturally grows and thrives in an unnatural manner. We have seen plant life consume mountains overnight, creatures tall enough to knock over mighty trees, and beneath it all a potent river of wild essence. Civilization has not found a stable foothold in the living lands. Whenever we try, there is some reprisal, almost as if the island knows how to shrug us off. Foods.
Careful! I will get thrown out of the pub. We're already. Really? I had one job. One job. Look out for her, Fidelio. How hard could that have been?
Can I help you?
If I could help myself, do you think I'd be in here? I don't mean that. I have a lot on my plate.
I've got time. What's the matter?
Two youngest rangers were supposed to report back from their rounds. I assumed they'd turn up. But it's been 3 days now. They're still...
Ah, yes. The good old wait 3 days and then worry about their disappearance. If you need them found, I'm at your service.
Brasilia. Their names are Belena and Adalaro. I doubt they'll be apart. They were good rangers once. But since they've caught each other's eye, all they do is sneak off.
Oh. To canoodle? To have relations?
A delicate way to put it.
Well, there's worse places to make the four-legged beast. I promise you that.
New recruits running off with each other? Oh man, this brings me back.
Anyway, I never thought I had any cause for concern. They always found their way back eventually, but they haven't this time. They're out there, all alone, and they could be in danger, and I...
And you're here drowning your sorrows. Some leader you are.
Bad crops to the right. Everyone here is exhausted. This is the first rest I've had in days. Meanwhile, the Animancers and Vidaro fiddle with their experiments. But
Hey,
it's no concern of ours until my rangers come home. The last time I saw them, I sent them to patrol the northern riverbed. If you go that way, please, keep an eye out for them. I'm losing my mind in here.
I'm sure I'll go that way eventually.
Newton wandering out by a river. Consider them found.
God
Maybe we don't look too
damn it,
Give him a while.
Marius.
You know what I mean?
I said stop using that kind of language. He keeps calling people Nimdut. And I just... the way that people react to it
Well, I'll be a godlike in the bone.
makes me feel like it's a word he should not be using.
Ruckus outside. The animancers never know when to shut their mouths.
Every town has its quirks, I would
Sounds
know.
like you've traveled a fair bit. Although even by Fjord standards, tensions are at a breaking point. Except Giata and Quilici, that is. They are the only animancers taking the Dream Scourge seriously. Try telling that to Vidaro and the animancers. But the rest of us, we've all heard the rumors from outside. Animals gone mad, terror stalking the wilderness day and night.
The stories are true. I've seen the Dream Scourge myself.
Spells, of course. If Emerald Stair runs out of food, we are in dire straits anyway. We've had crops fail before, but never food rations. The governor says it's just a temporary precaution, but I am not buying it. So, we ought to drink while we can. Agreed? Anything I can get you?
What you got? Okay.
Welcome back, envoy.
Ado, welcome to my fine establishment, Amica.
What is this place?
Founded machine.
An animancy workshop.
Oh, I heard there was a new arrival, but I didn't expect a godlike. Welcome to our modest workshop.
Gianta and I are investigating the Dream Scourge.
Giada, what a loss. I owe that young woman more than I could ever repay. Unfortunately, I cannot do a lick of research while my equipment is underpowered and overworked.
Maybe I could help you fix it.
A novel idea, that. What I need is a stronger power source.
Are you currently using copper or Adra?
Copper allows greater power modulation through shaping, but Adra has the potential to store more essence. I could use a large single block of Adra, but harvesting it is difficult in this environment.
Yes.
One of our rangers reported that an Adragon recently died in a western grove.
And what is that exactly? At the risk of stating the obvious, we're standing in front of a massive Adra pillar.
Indeed, but that well is almost dry. I need more. An Adragon's heart can hold an immense amount of essence. The grove is to the west, across the chasm. You can't miss it. The Rangers say a Delamgon queen holds court there. You may be able to retrieve it without violence, but most Delamgon in these parts are hostile to Keith. So you can understand why none of us went
Okay.
rushing over there to find it when we heard the Adragon had died.
Okay.
Delamgon queens can be reasoned with, so if you want to get the heart peacefully, try not to kill her guards.
I'll see what I
Be
can do.
careful. Emerald Stair is not itself these days.
If you can convince her to hand it over, I'll be more than impressed.
The Adra is healthy. It's the essence I'm concerned about.
This again. You're beginning to sound like Giata.
Have you ever stopped and listened to her? She might be onto something.
I'm sure her mother and father were onto something, and look what happened to them.
Ah, now here's a book I could get into. My Rejection of So-Called Ethics by Monto Pastor. Animancy is a magnet for naysayers who cherish ignorance over progress and safety over opportunity. I do not deny that our art has produced some misfortune over the years. Bellreach, Brackenbury, and the event at the Castle House, to name a few. But why should these isolated incidents cast such a long shadow? When a ship sinks to the bottom of the ocean, no one forces merchants to abandon their trade. I say that we resist society's unjust call to smash our machines and burn our research. We are animancers. Society is welcome to join us, but we won't hesitate to leave them in our dust. Hear, hear.
I have to do something. I can't let it.
What?
On the
What's
way.
going on, mister?
I'm sorry. I'm not in a place to talk right now.
When was the last time you
I'm
slept?
concerned with that. Not now. Yesterday, I made an incredible discovery. We can use half as much Adra to achieve the same results. And then I thought, what if one day it's a third, a quarter, a speck?
Wouldn't that be a good
No.
thing?
To harness these forces for so small a price is too much power. Who knows what kind of chaos we'll create?
Ah.
I've been reading Athelmir's treatise on Vodka. Perhaps she's right. Maybe animancy should be reined in.
There's no such thing as too much power.
I assumed I was speaking to a colleague. I see I was wrong. But I should double-check my work. There's a chance my research could be flawed. I never forgive myself. I'll run more tests and see where things go. I hope I'm right. I shudder to think.
Those are all about monsters of the Deadfire Archipelago.
Come back when you have the heart.
But your apprentice over there was talking about some crazy shit, and maybe you should go talk to him, and maybe you should take his research, and maybe also not let him look it over. The moons of Aora. There are 2 moons. The Art of Malicious Compliance by Elia Russell. When our governor told me to stop bothering him, I moved out of town. When he told me to hire cheap farm hands, I raised the dead. Now he leaves me alone. I have won. It's that simple. The Or Messiverno was founded on the principle of insubordination. In order to preserve our legacy, we must become a community of the ungovernable. I agree.
What do you think of Giatta's theory? Well, my experiments have been a little
Unpredictable. Like the essence has no sense of direction.
How did you know?
We should talk, but not here.
The Many Pitfalls of Imp Husbandry. This book narrates one scholar's dissection of all matters relating to the care of household imps, focusing notably on their cleaning and housebreaking. One passage has been underlined with a deep press of a quill. Never allow imps to learn spells or wield artifacts of power. Their bodies sponge up the essence remainder and grow exponentially larger in size. One of my household servants pilfered a ring from my collection and grew to the size of an aurochs before I had him properly drained. Their glands can also grow more pungent than mere writing can hope to encompass, so beware. On the efficacy of imps. A time-worn adage among practitioners of the arcane arts avers that early wizards compelled imps to service not out of a desire for the assistance, but to banish them from underfoot. I doubt it not at all, for one could not conjure more unruly, noisome, maladroit, and irascible aid. Why, then, do we employ these diminutive meddlers? Imps, dear reader, are to a wizard's sanctum as rats are to a ship. Whether out of malign instinct or pure mischievousness, they infiltrate our laboratories with alarming regularity. Ninagoth conjectures in his Sensitivity of Simpletons that imps infest any locus of concentrated mystical influence, and accounts of the creatures lurking among the uninhabited ruins of Engwith seems to corroborate his supposition. Yet a wizard's domicile seems to possess a particular appeal to them, regardless of whether it resides at a nexus of spiritual power or no. Left to their own devices, the winged miscreants accrue loose baubles, hoarding them in filthy dens as often as not established in our cupboards and privies. Seemingly possessed of an antiquity dealer's discernment, each prefers to pilfer the most valuable paraphernalia and potent artifacts, yet they remain pathetically inept in the use of even the simplest gewgaw. I admit, the imp's general incompetence makes them appealing retainers. One of the little cretins may displace a favored wand of elemental power, but little peril exists of it activating the instrument and immolating your collected volumes of arcana. The same cannot be said of apprentices. Yet the beasts present a danger to the unwary, for they possess a low cunning not unlike that of Zarups and Orlans. Wow, racist much. Without a domineering hand to direct them, imps rapidly regress to their base instincts. As a result of their propensity for pack behavior, even transitory leniency with a single imp can imperil a wizard's entire collection. Alchemy of Imp Spray. I kept a pair of imps caged for the better part of 3 decades as I scripted Volume 5 of my series, Scent Languages of the Perverse. Every day, the duo would fill the air from their glands as they communicated across the distance. I grew to understand the alchemy of their spray by standing in its path and allowing the fetid effluvium to wash over me. Such wondrous effluvium, so potent, it hovers over me still. Just as I had written the last page of what was to be my greatest work, the dialect of their spray changed entirely, rendering my findings useless. Oh, but how they laughed at my expense. I know the smell of failure. It is the reek of 30 years' worth of concentrated imp farts sprayed into one's face and the bitterness of having no academic recognition to show for it.
Ado, welcome to my fine establishment, Aimika. Well, I was not expecting such an esteemed guest in my humble workshop. Are you in need of any weapons or armor? The roads haven't been safe as of late.
It depends what you got. Also, can you do anything with this?
Gelarde. This is star metal. Very rare stuff. Where did you get this? Nay, don't tell me.
I found it.
I'd be tempted to go looking for some more, and that would certainly not end well.
Can you do anything with it?
No. Unfortunately, I don't know how to work the metal into anything useful. Only enchant it. I did receive a shipment from Sola's Keep recently, however. A mace crafted out of star metal, brought to me by a trader from Galloway's Tusks. I suggest you make your way there if you're...
Yes. Someone has told me Solace Keep
Galloway's
before.
Tusks? Come on, it can't be that complicated. I bet you 5 skates a Smith and Thirdborn would know what to do with this stuff.
I'll take
And
that
I'll
bet.
take your money eventually.
Is there anything else I can help you with, Aimika?
Ooh, you've got exceptional shit. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. I don't have enough money to buy any of it. But damn. Lodestone. Power attacks deal low stun to nearby enemies. Plus 20% stun overall. Ba, 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 ba. Let's just buy the unique weapon.
Welcome to my fine establishment, Aimika.
That leads out of the city. Ouch. Where to go now? Where do I go now?
Rejuvenate and revitalize your personal essence.
If only we had the...
I was once like you, weary and diseased. Now I'm a different man, and it's all...
They do such lovely work here, don't they? Hang on. I know you from Solace, right? I'm afraid I don't know who you are. Just as you don't know who I am. You're Blessed man. I remember you. I got you. So, we understand each other then. I never thought the world of animancy could be so varied and fascinating. I can make use of so much of this equipment.
You're a Pargrun. I heard your people didn't travel outside Gallowing's tusks.
To see one of my people about, but I'm here on important business. If you see anyone else from Solace Keep, just do me a favor and don't tell them you saw me.
Why not?
It's not worth talking about, really. Some of my fellow wardens might misunderstand. But we still don't even know why you're here. You know what I mean. And Marius, it was good to see you. May you find all you're looking for and more. What I'm doing is best for the Pargrunen, even if they don't see that yet.
Uh-huh. What are you doing? Exactly.
Is your soul? Don't trust any man, see? Trust me, honest Emil.
Well, you're selling a bunch of spoiled food. And my experience tells me people that call themselves honest anything typically can be trusted.
All ingredients are... Welcome to Poria in Velino, the finest legitimate apothecary of Emerald Stair.
Okay. Ooh. Picked up the bounties already. We'll head back out this way. I've already talked to Elia once. I told her about how I like to dig around in corpses. She thought it wasn't that weird. Now, let's see here. Those are both animancy shit. There's a bounty. But let's do... Yeah, there's missing rangers there.
I'm not making it up. You're not still on about that, are you? What?
Oh. I just wish this game would be consistent with its performance stuff. Because you'll find settings that'll work for a while. Or for one session, and then... Oh. Got little mushroom peoples.
Not bad, Marius. Great. This place has seen better days.
Yeah. And I still... want to say that, like... part of the reason why... the game... struggles like it does is the way that they... have... things like bodies... persist in the... environment.
This one's mine. What's up? Watch the left.
I don't have any proof to support it. And I don't know a goddamn thing about programming. But it just like... intuitively... it makes sense to me.
Here we go.
Worth and rough.
Watch yourself.
Where do they keep coming from?
them all.
They all dead now? Good.
Win and Fjord, I guess.
Unique equipment. What do the Valiant gauntlets do? Attack damage with swords and daggers increased by 15%. I mean, that wouldn't be awful. But it wouldn't do anything to help with my axe. Now we're gonna go kill the Zarups. You know, I was thinking...
Keep quiet.
I was thinking... earlier about... You know, because... Twitch has that whole... thing now. And, like, I don't know how... like... strict it is exactly. But they have this whole thing about... like, oh, if you're gonna be discussing... like... sensitive topics, like politically sensitive topics and stuff, you like you're supposed to tag your stream. And like I'm like, some of the stuff I talk about sometimes like it drifts into that area, but I'm also like, to be fair, a lot of it is stuff that I don't feel like should be political. Or like controversial to begin with. Like, when I get on a soapbox about like trans rights and like just like trans identity stuff and just being like I never asked for my gender identity to be a political issue. Right, that was decided for me by a bunch of stuffy old white guys who just don't want to accept that the world is changing. right? But I think that there's a lot of stuff in there that's important to talk about. And similarly, like vaccines. To me, vaccines should never have been a political issue. Like, they are a public health issue. Which should not be a political thing. It's about, like... Because I saw a... Like, that's what got me thinking about it earlier. Was, like, I saw a story about how... Like... J.D. Vance has a 12-year-old relative that... I don't know how closely related they are. I mean, it looks like they would be someone related by marriage somehow, because in the pictures I saw, she looked like a little Asian girl. But she was denied a heart transplant because she was unvaccinated. Which is very unfortunate for her, because that's a decision made by her parents. And, you know, she likely didn't get very much, if any, of a say in that. And, you know, of course they're trying to make it a big, like, political issue, but it's like, no, like, heart transplants, in order for someone to donate a heart, that person has to die, right? So they only get heart transplants from dead people, so people that die in, like, accidents, or that die and their heart is still healthy enough that it can be used for a transplant, and you know, things like that. It's not like you can just go to a family member and be like, hey, you got an extra heart lying around I can borrow? We can see if you're a potential match. Maybe you can give me your heart. Like, no, you only got one of those, right? So, like, and when you get any sort of transplant, you have to take a drug that is an immunosuppressing drug in order to prevent your body from rejecting the organ. Because no matter how close of a match a person is, they're always going to be somewhat, like, it's always going to be different enough that your body's going to want to reject the organ. It's going to be like, this is a foreign body, it should not be in here, let's remove it. So you have to take something that's going to suppress your immune system to keep it from doing that. So you have to be, like, fully vaccinated, like, even, like, a lot of times you even have to get, like, vaccines that, like, the average population, like, would not get, or, like, get a booster for a vaccine that you would not typically get a booster for. Because you are going to get a transplant and your immune system is going to be heavily weakened, and therefore you're going to be much more susceptible to contracting just like any disease that you come in contact with. That's just science. That's how it works. Right? But like they're trying to make it like a thing of like, oh, well, they're trying to deny this child a heart transplant because her family didn't want her to get a COVID vaccine. It's like, that's not really what's going on there. And now, and then like with the gender identity stuff, like now, you know, all the government websites, of course, have like removed any mention of transgender people from their websites. It's all LGB without the T. And there's even like some like level of a movement, however small it may be, to like in the like LGBT plus community. There's even been some like LGBT members of the community and stuff that have been like kind of like pushing like, yeah, we should kind of just like distance ourselves from the transgender. I don't know that that's like a significant portion. I certainly hope it isn't. I haven't been like looking into it that much, but it's like, hey, you realize that's like what they do. Like that's the first thing that like fascist countries do when they're trying to get rid of. Like that's what Russia did first. They targeted the trans people, and then once like they realized the general population would be kind of okay with them targeting the trans people, they moved on to like the whole LGB part of the community. And that's what the and I hate using this example because then anyone that like is critical of of things at all always like they devolve into being like, so you're just calling us Nazis. It's like, but that's not the point. The point is to look back at historical example, right? But that's like the same thing like the Nazis did, is they targeted like the like there weren't a ton of people that were out at trans at that time in history, really, but there were some people that were, and those were the people that they kind of targeted first when it came to that larger community. And then they came for the rest of them. And it's like, you know, at this point, it's just like, you know, if you want to keep pretending that things aren't happening, or that, oh, well, it doesn't affect me, so I don't really need to worry about it, or, oh, well, you know, I don't come here to, you know, listen to political talk, or to, you know, be reminded about how crappy things are. It's like I get that. I understand that to a point, but it's like also like I think it's something that needs to be talked about in like public forums, and we like public spaces, and we don't like, things aren't like they were you know, 100 years ago, or, you know, where we got together in big like public spaces a lot, and like as a like local community, and like talked about things and stuff, and it's like the like conversation and community has shifted online in a lot of ways. People don't go like yeah, people might go to like events. They might like go to a concert or things like that, but they aren't gonna go. They're gonna go with like a small group of friends, maybe at most. They're not gonna go to, you know, you're not gonna go to some sort of event and then hang around with a bunch of people afterward, you know, having a meal and talking about the event, and talking about, you know, how your lives have been and everything, because that's not the reality that we live in anymore. You know, you don't, that's just not how things are. Instead, people find community online. And then that always gets weird. But I think that's where, like, a lot of the, like, content creators and stuff don't want to talk about these things because it, like, if that's not their brand already, because it's like, oh, well, like, I don't want to alienate any part of my audience, and it's like, yeah, but also, in some ways, like, not talking about the stuff, especially like if you are like a content creator that's like, oh, like, people know that you're bi, but like you're like, oh, always like just being like, oh, let's like know that you're bi or you're gay or something like that. But then people also, you're also like, oh, let's keep everything non-political, let's not discuss. It's kind of like, well, what kind of a message does that send to the trans people in your audience who are like really being put through the shit right now, and like people with platforms could really kind of be given more of a voice to that sometimes. I don't know. I don't know that there's any right answer. I just know that, like, personally, like, even if I wasn't trans, but if I was just, like, a gay man, or even just, like, an ally of, like, the LGBT plus community, I would be, like, still wanting to be talking about this stuff just on the basis of the fact that, you know, and I was making content, or, you know, I would just want to be talking about this stuff because I'm on the simple basis of it's not right. Like, I don't know. That's always been the thing for me. Is like, even though my parents, you know, are Republican, and like my dad especially has very like conservative values overall. My feelings have always been like, you know, they taught me that, you know, there is wrong and there is right in how you treat people. And I'm like, well, the stuff that's going on right now is just, it's wrong. Just plain and simple. Like, you can't make an argument to me that makes sense that would say that, oh no, actually, it's the right thing to do because of some twisted logic. Right? And maybe it's because I know the mental suffering that it puts people through. And I'm like, damn. There are people out there that think that's actually, like, okay. But now I'm also gonna get, like, just straight up overtly political and be like, I have found it, like, amusing watching people that voted for Trump and are now experiencing the negative consequences of that decision and are like, but wait a minute, but that's not what I thought was gonna happen. Somebody explain this to me. And then the response being, no, actually, we're not gonna explain it to you. We tried to explain it to you, and you didn't listen. So now you have to figure out how to deal with it yourself. And
something's not right with her.
Try and fix the issue. And if you can,
she's probably the ranger told us to look out for.
Manage to turn the ship around a little bit, then maybe we'll talk. But no, you're absolutely not getting any sympathy from us. Just like the farmers that were like, oh, people should work for what they get. They shouldn't get any government handouts. And then it's like Trump signs the executive orders and it halts a bunch of government programs. And then they realize that their contracts for the fields they work and stuff are all, or like the fences they build and shit are all like funded through government programs that are now no longer getting their funding. And so now they're not going to get paid, but they've already spent the money. It's messed up, but it's the consequences of your own actions. And that's the end of my soapbox for the day. I just always want to make it abundantly clear. That a certain type of person is not welcome here. Just in case. not knowing that like the people that are the two people that are watching right now, I'm fairly certain do not fall in that category. But I like I like to bring this stuff up fairly regularly just because A, I think it's worth talking about. B, I think that you know, if anyone ever pops in that is of that certain mindset, I want them to know that they are not welcome here and they should get out as quickly as possible. Or I will probably end up banning them for something that they say that is not okay.
Our soul chokes. The snake is coiled around us, around Hadelaro's throat. Hadelaro's face burst into violet when the dreams came. Red violets. He joined the others.
She's talking about another dream thrall. We better find him before he finds us.
She watched that happen to him. God.
A lamb taken from the flock. How do we soothe her?
Your friends speak true. They know us. Help us.
I'll find Adelaro, but you promise not to go anywhere.
They will sing with you. Soon the rest of Fior will be swallowed by dreams too. But tell us of Adelaro first. Where is he?
Don't worry, I'll take care of him.
If nothing else, you'll spare from having to see it.
Find him. Give the lieutenant our badges. He swims in the bone and boar. He calls himself Fidelio. He will understand our song. But Adelaro stumbles at the mouth of the river above us. Please, help us sleep soundly.
You've lost your goddamn mind, lady. Fuckers. These little fuckers.
Good fight.
Problem dealt with.
Out how to get rid of it.
I think I sprained my shoulder.
It is time for me to ban the viewbot seller. Bot. It's all just a bot. It's a bot selling bots. Aha. Keep. Oof.
Stop right there, Adiran. I know what you did. I don't have to bow and scrape.
What did I did?
Let Wolf live.
That
doesn't mean trouble won't find you. We're tired and hungry. That doesn't mean we're helpless. Watch yourself.
You got it. I found the rebels that I let go.
I really don't think he saw what you think he saw.
You think I'm what? Seeing things? They're out. There's someone else out there. Someone new. Probably adherents.
And you're the only one who saw them?
People in armor, skulking about in the forest. And it's definitely not the rangers from Fjord.
See? Even the Adiran agrees with me. Either way, you need to get some rest. And you, Adiran, should just be moving on.
Let me take a look at... No, no, I won't. No. Hello? The Rasuvastatin. Okay, thank you. Oh no. Now you know that I take Rasuvastatin. And really, it's just as a precautionary measure. I've never had high cholesterol, but it did get recommended to me one time that by a cardiologist that it couldn't hurt to, because of my other health issues, take a low dose of it. And then he was like, I don't have anything wrong with me, and I still take a low dose of it. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. Then I told my doctor, hey, put me on a low dose of that. This is not medical advice. That's just what a doctor told me one time. A party camp. Boom. Okay, well.
Listen, Kai, I need you to stalk like a cat, not stomp around like a battle rock.
My training was a lot bigger on stomping than stalking, unfortunately.
Right, and I
think I'm gonna save and shut it off. Be done there for today. Probably for the day. I don't know that I'm gonna get back on later at any point. I might. Because I know I won't be able to stream tomorrow night. Because I have my D&D group. But I also kind of just want to not. Like, I would enjoy playing this game more today, but I also kind of just want to spend time with my dog, so might do that. This chair just gets very uncomfortable after a while. So, anyway, it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. I hope the lurkers have enjoyed it. I'll see you. I might stream early tomorrow since I can't stream tomorrow night. We'll see. If not, I'll probably be streaming at some point Friday. I think I might. What I might do is I'll stream Friday, like, stream leading up to Adri's stream, and then raid into it. Maybe. If I have anyone watching at the time. I'm pretty sure everyone that is watching me at this point watches her, so that might be the plan. That might be the idea. But yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll try to come up with some fun things to talk about that aren't depressing for next time. Or at least interesting things to talk about. I can't promise they won't be depressing. Sometimes I learn interesting facts that are just depressing. And that I could talk about Roko's Basilisk next time. That would be an interesting thing to talk about. As long as no one is too worried about, like, existentialism But like I'm a very existential like dread person, and was not bothered by it. So I think it should be fine. Anyway, what I really need to do is I need to keep start keeping like a notebook with me that I can jot things down, like just notes of like, or even just in the notes app on my phone, just like notes of like, this would be a good thing to talk about, just to remind myself. Because I'll often think that when I am like watching a video on YouTube or like come across something online, and then I will, by the time stream rolls around, I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't remember what I ate for breakfast. I don't remember where I am. That one's not true. I do remember where I am, but I don't remember like anything. Yeah. Pee pee poo poo. Googa. Googa being used as a term for a device in this game. I have never seen that, but I love it. And now anytime I want to be like doohickey or thingamabob, I'm just going to be like, I need the stabby googa, you know? But yeah. So it has been a real one, my dudes.